Welcome to Warframe Noobs Guide. This episode we're going to be talking about weapon blueprints. So this series targets new players, so the whole idea behind this is you might not know how to get certain weapon blueprints or even blueprints in general for weapons. So we're going to be going over basically where you can find all the blueprints and stuff like that. But before we get into it, let's go ahead and start off at the market. And the first thing that I'll mention is if you're just rolling in the dough, you can literally buy everything you need here with platinum. So if you're just some rich little fuck out there and you don't want to like actually spend time getting all this stuff in game, then you can save some time and just buy everything with platinum, but that is going to be a lot of fucking money. So I do not recommend that unless you just want to waste some money. But if we stay on the market, you can actually see here that in the bottom right corner, whenever you go to your weapons, primary, secondary, melee, any of those, you can actually see blueprints only. So if you check that off, it'll show you all the weapons that you can purchase blueprints for. So if you check off blueprints only, then you can just scroll through and every weapon you see, you can buy a blueprint for. Now, you don't spend platinum on the blueprint, you spend in-game credits, which are way easier to get than platinum. So you just find a weapon you want here, whether it's in your primary, your melee, or your secondary, buy the blueprint, and then take it to your foundry, and if you have the resources, craft it. If not, then you'll have to get the resources, but that's how you find the majority of your blueprints right there. So if we go back to the market and we uncheck the blueprints tab, you'll notice that a bunch of new weapons popped up, and some of them you can't buy the blueprint for. You can only spend platinum on them. For instance, the Ferox is one that you can spend 150 platinum on, and you do not have the option to buy the blueprint. Now, the way to get around this is you basically need to get a dojo. You can create one yourself and it'll probably take you a long time to research everything, or you can just go into the recruitment chat and look for a dojo that already has all of its research done. If you decide to do this on your own and just make your own dojo, it will take you a very long time to research everything and it will require a lot of resources. However, if you end up joining one on your own and they already have everything done, you just find the respective lab that you want, whether it's the energy lab, the Tenno lab, the chem lab, the bio lab. I think there was one other one that I forgot, but you just find whichever lab. You can go through all the blueprints they have there and buy each blueprint for 15,000 credits. The only downside to the dojo blueprints for the weapons here in the dojo, the crafting materials that you need for these ones are a lot more of the rare materials. Almost everything requires you to have a forma, and even at that, a lot of the stuff requires you to have like a field drawn if you're doing energy lab stuff. I forgot what the other two rare resources were, but in a lot of cases for the energy lab and the bio lab, they actually like have you buy a blueprint for a resource, and then you have to craft that resource, and that resource, like just crafting one of them takes 12 hours. So for instance, I have the Opticore ready to build right now in my foundry. That requires 5 field drawns, so that was like fucking 3 days of just building field drawns. And then it also requires 1 forma and all the credits, and then obviously the resources. So you can see that the weapons in the dojo actually cost like some pretty decent amount of resources, and they're the rare resources too. They're not the easy to get stuff like ferrite or polymer or anything like that. Some of them actually do cost ferrite or polymer, the easier stuff to get, but it'll usually require like one of the rarer resources too along with that. And like I said before, if you decide to make your own dojo, then you're gonna have to research all of these items on your own, and though that will cost you even more resources. Like some weapons in here cost like 15,000 polymer, 50,000 credits, 20,000 salvage, 10 gallium or something like that. Like it can cost a pretty decent amount of resources for a newer player. So I do not recommend going at it solo. If you got a group of friends that want to do it, that's better, but if you're on your own, then I would just join a dojo. So there are some blueprints out there that you actually get from like bosses. I don't know all of them because there's a fuck ton of them, but I know that like the boar can be dropped on certain maps. The dread is dropped from the stalker. The war is dropped from the stalker, and I think he drops the hate and despair too. I think the twin gremlins are dropped from the Jupiter boss, I want to say. I could be wrong on that, but Like I said, there's just a ton of weapons that just drop randomly from enemies or from bosses out there. So if you want to Google a list of all of those, you can probably find the location for those too if you want to try those out. I don't remember all of them, but you can just get certain ones from killing people, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But that is basically it. Like I said, it's just going to require some time because you have to craft stuff, and the dojo stuff is going to require even more time if you decide to do it on your own. But that's essentially how you get almost every weapon in the game. Prime weapons are an entirely different thing. I'll go over how to get those later on, but obviously the easiest way, I'll just mention it now, is to buy the Prime access. But like I said, that's like buying platinum, and that is fucking a lot of money. So I don't believe I missed anything, but if anyone watching this is, you know, somebody who's not a new player basically, and you notice that I missed something, feel free to drop it in the comments. Other than that, I'm pretty sure I got everything, so I will see you guys in the next one.